It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. The house was full of lights, guests, and wedding decorations. Music was playing softly in the background, but inside the bride's heart, there was only silence and fear. She sat in front of the mirror, dressed in her wedding outfit, her hands slightly shaking. Today, she was going to marry the man she loved. But something was wrong. Her family was not smiling. They were not celebrating. Her parents stood at the back of the room, looking at her with cold eyes. The moment they saw her fiancé, everything changed. "He is just a security guard," her father said in a hard voice. "This marriage will not happen with our respect." The room went silent. The bride slowly turned her head, trying to understand what she just heard. Her eyes became wet, but she tried to stay strong. Her mother also spoke, her tone full of anger. "We will not attend this wedding if you choose him." Those words felt like a knife in her heart. She could not believe her own family was rejecting her on her wedding day. Outside the room, guests were laughing and taking pictures, unaware that inside, a daughter was being torn apart emotionally. The groom stood quietly near the door. He did not argue. He did not shout. He simply watched everything with calm eyes, as if he already knew this would happen. But his silence was strange, almost too calm. The wedding hall was still filled with noise and movement, but something in the air had changed. The bride's heart was heavy, yet she kept walking forward. Every step felt like she was leaving her family behind. The groom stood near the stage, calm and silent. He was dressed simply, no luxury, no show-off style. To everyone watching, he looked like an ordinary security guard, nothing special. But his eyes were different. They were not nervous. They were not begging for approval. They were calm, almost like he was observing everything carefully. The guests kept whispering. "Why is she marrying him?" one said. "Her parents are right. He is just a security guard." Another voice laughed quietly. But the groom did not react. He only looked at the bride with a soft expression, as if telling her to stay strong. The bride noticed something strange. Even though everyone was insulting him, he was not ashamed. He was not angry either. That silence made him look more mysterious. Meanwhile, a few unknown people in the crowd kept watching him closely. They were not guests from the bride's side or groom's side. They looked serious, like they were waiting for something. One of them quietly took out a phone and started recording. Not a normal recording, but focused only on the groom. The bride felt something deep inside her heart. She did not understand it yet, but she felt like there was something about him that nobody knew. Something hidden, something powerful. As the ceremony continued, tension slowly grew without anyone noticing. The rejection from her family was only the beginning, because in just a few moments, a small 10-second video would be captured, and that video would not just show a man in a uniform. It would start revealing the truth no one in that room was ready to face. The ceremony was about to continue, but the atmosphere felt heavier than before. The bride stood in place, trying to hold her emotions together. Her family was still absent from the front row, and their words kept repeating in her mind. "He is just a security guard." Those words felt louder than the music. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. One of the guests, who had been quietly recording for a few minutes, stopped moving. His phone screen showed a short clip, only 10 seconds long. He stared at it with a serious face, as if he had just seen something shocking. Without saying anything, he quickly sent the video to someone. Within minutes, the clip started spreading. At first, it was shared in small private groups. Then it reached more people, and then it escaped control. The video showed the groom, but not in the way everyone expected. It was not just a simple wedding moment. In those few seconds, the groom was seen standing in a completely different environment. People around him were saluting him. His body language had changed. He was no longer just a security guard in that clip. Something about his presence looked powerful, important, even respected. The bride did not see the video yet, but she could feel something changing in the air. Whispers started again, but this time they were different. "Did you see that clip? Who is he really?" Even the guests who were mocking him earlier became silent. Meanwhile, the bride's family, who had refused to attend, were still unaware that a storm was building outside their decision. The groom remained calm, but now his silence felt different. It was no longer just quietness. It felt like control. And that small 10-second video. After the 10-second video started spreading, the wedding atmosphere completely changed. What was once a normal celebration had now turned into confusion and tension. People were no longer focusing on the music or decorations. Instead, they were watching their phones again and again, replaying the short clip. At first, some guests thought it was a mistake. Others thought it was edited. But the more they watched it, the more real it looked. The groom standing in that video, the respect he was getting, it did not match what they were told. Whispers started growing louder.
He is not just a security guard. Look at how those people are standing in front of him. The bride still did not fully understand what was happening, but she could feel it. The mood had shifted. Even the people who insulted her before were now confused and quiet. Meanwhile, the bride's parents were still outside the venue, unaware of the viral storm forming inside. But not for long. One of their relatives finally saw the video and called them immediately. His voice was shaking. "You need to see this right now." The father opened the video. His expression changed slowly, from confusion to shock to fear. He watched the 10 seconds again, then again. Each time, his face became more serious. The mother grabbed the phone and saw it too. Her hands started shaking. Inside the wedding hall, the bride noticed something strange happening. People were no longer laughing. They were staring. Some were even stepping back, as if they had just realized they misunderstood something big. The groom still stood calmly, but now his silence felt powerful, not weak. It was as if he already knew this moment would come. And outside the hall, the bride's family was finally starting to undo. The moment the bride's parents finished watching the 10-second video, everything around them felt different. The father did not speak for a few seconds. It was as if his voice had disappeared. He played the clip again, slowly this time. Every detail hit harder. The way people stood, the respect in their eyes, the silence around the groom. None of it matched what they believed. This can't be real," the mother said quietly, but her voice was shaking. The father finally spoke, but his tone was no longer angry. It was uncertain. "We were told he is just a security guard." But now, that sentence sounded weak. Inside the wedding hall, the guests were still whispering. The bride stood frozen, noticing how the entire mood had changed again. People who were mocking earlier were now avoiding eye contact. The groom remained still, calm, almost unaffected. But now, people were not looking at him with disrespect. They were looking at him with questions. Meanwhile, outside the venue, the bride's parents were panicking silently. The father tried calling someone he knew, trying to confirm what he saw in the video. But every response made things more complicated. The truth was not fully clear yet, but one thing was certain. They had made a serious mistake. The mother's eyes filled with regret. "If this is real, we insulted him in front of everyone." The father did not reply. He just looked at the phone again, silent and disturbed. Back inside, the bride slowly looked at the groom. For the first time, she was not confused about the situation, but about him. Who was he really? Why did that short clip change everything? And why did it feel like the real story had only just begun? The damage was already done, but the truth was still unfolding. The wedding hall was completely silent now. The earlier laughter, the whispers, and the insults had all disappeared. Only confusion and shock remained in the air. The bride stood still, trying to understand everything that had changed in just a few minutes. Her heart was heavy, but now it was not only pain, it was also questions. The groom slowly looked at her. His eyes were calm, but deeper than before. It was as if he had carried a truth for a long time, and now it was finally starting to come out. Outside, the bride's parents arrived at the venue in a hurry. Their faces showed stress and regret. They had seen enough of the video to know one thing clearly. They had made a very big mistake, but it was too late. When they entered, people were already looking at them differently. No one said anything, but the silence itself felt like judgment. The father tried to speak, but no words came out at first. Finally, he looked at his daughter and the groom. I think we misunderstood everything," he said quietly. But the bride did not answer immediately. She looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes were filled with pain from earlier moments, the insults, the rejection, the humiliation on her wedding day. Now the truth was out, but the damage was already done. The groom finally spoke for the first time. in a calm voice. Respect is not based on what someone wears or what job they do. The words were simple, but heavy. The bride held her tears and turned slightly toward him. In that moment, she realized something important. The world had judged him wrongly, but he never changed who he was. The story did not end with revenge through anger. It ended with truth. And sometimes, truth itself is the strongest revenge.